Close all windows. Turn it over. I should just turn the lid over. Alright guys, we'll be starting in a second. I'm just getting set up. Look at that nastiness right there. Yep. That wonderful wet palette. Come on, where you at? See, this is what happens. Wife says clean everything, so you just dump it in a drawer. Then you have to get to your wet palette papers, and they're underneath everything. Gotta move these AR magazines out of the way. Where you at? See, I'm going through these papers like it's nobody's business, just for you guys. I like these pre-cut papers though, they're really nice. No, this paper, it's special wet palette paper, aka baking paper. But they're pre-cut to fit this, and it's got a sponge underneath it that doesn't, it's antibacterial, so it doesn't like mold. So put a little bit of fresh water on here with my dirty water. Water. I guess nobody's in there yet. Because everybody thinks I'm Steven Chenault. Get down. It's your home. I'm a little upset, man. Did you ever watch Community? Well, Community Season 2, Episode 14 was the best episode ever. It's the episode where they played Dungeons and Dragons. Second edition at that. See where my heart is like, ah! They took it off Netflix and Hulu. You can still buy it. Just that one episode. Yeah, because Senior Chain dresses up like a drow and he paints himself completely black. And they also removed episodes of Golden Girls because they had mud packs on their face. Well, Betty White said something a little bit. She's like, "Don't be afraid. We're not black." Yeah, that right there is racist. But it's Betty White too, so she used to be hot back in the day. Back in '84. Now look her up, man. I know I'm horrible. Get this thing going. That water soaking a little bit. See, look, our dragon's turning out fairly well. We're going to work on his wings today. Try to clean him up a little bit more. So we'll work on the dragon a little bit in our spare time, but today our main study is fur. Now I am trying to find a larger model with a good face, no hat or nothing, guys. And we're going to work on faces in a couple days or a couple shows. Now I will tell you, 31st we are buying a house and we'll be moving out of this house. So I might go off the air for a week, but don't worry, I'm still here. And this little tiny screw, I don't know where it went to. But yeah, I guess nobody's on there just yet, but that's fine. So first of all, we got this nice little teddy bear. He's a cool looking dude. These are Reaper bones, so the mold lines aren't that great. And then we got this little awesome werewolf. So we're gonna do a few things first. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna paint the pink on both these models, and then let that dry for a minute. So to do that, I'm gonna get this heraldic red right here. And yes, there is pink on these models, and you will see where. Oh, look at that! It's called too much water. There, let's put it right here. There we go. That's highly pigmented. Dang. It's okay. You want to thin your paints out anyway, and this Army Painter paint is a bit thick. All right, so we're gonna take our our little brush here, our number 8. The best brush in the world. Hey, there's a little fly. Get away. Anyway, so we need to mix some pink up, a dark pink, and there is a reason for this. We don't need a lot of it. Paint the mouth. Always pink. The inside of the mouth is pink, unless it's a llama. I don't know why. Because llamas are weird. And then on the werewolf, he has these lips, and you want to paint the mouth, because you always want kind of like for the teeth and stuff. You want behind it, especially in these fierce looking beasts, to be a little reddish. So it's gonna give that a little bit of time to dry. So first thing we're gonna do though is we're gonna work on this bear. So fur is really cool. There's lots of different ways to paint fur. You can do each fur a stroke, each little bump of fur one flick at a time. I don't do that. I did do that one time. For one model, I bought Scythe, and I had the first edition of that model, which were really low detail models. So that the bears were smooth, the animals were smooth. So I had to texture it with the brush, and it wasn't fun at all. So the color I've chosen tonight is going to be Fur Brown from Army Painter. We're going to take this, and then we're going to take, now look how creamy that came out. That's because I pre-mixed all this stuff. Then we're going to take a little bit of this matte black and put it right there, just drop. We're going to bring this color down a bit, and then because first we're going to need a lot of it, but that brown is just too light for what we need. So this is our base color, okay? So we're going to use 3 different colors on this. Could use a little yellow, but I'm not going to. So first thing we're going to do is we're just going to completely cover this thing in this color right here. And this has been primered with Vallejo, and this is fairly thin, so we're going to have to do 2 coats. But as you can see though, where it is thin, it is going to reach this as somewhat like a wash, which is kind of cool. It gives you a good effect, because what's going to happen is it's going to make our job a little bit easier when it comes to dry brushing. If there's anybody on, say hello, ask questions. Rathgar, what's up, my man? Or maiden. I don't know what you are, so I don't try not to presume. So I think I'm gonna pick up some more Vallejo primer. This stuff's cool, but I want to go with a matte color, a more matte on some stuff in the future. So I'm going to try to get another primer. Now, so this is kind of cool though, but what we're seeing is it's kind of like almost highlighting it because it's sort of behaving like a contrast paint a little bit, going into the recesses, exposing the tips and stuff like that, which is fine. This is also why we're doing multiple layers of this. And this part we can be a little messy with, except when we get around the mouth. Vallejo. I'm using the Vallejo Mecha Primer Airbrush Ready. I airbrushed all this on beforehand. I like that light gray. Okay, so we're going to come in here around the mouth a little bit. Bears are fun to paint. I don't know what it is about a bear, but they just seem fun. Now, on these bones, remember, it's hard to get these eyeballs sometimes. So we kind of just sometimes just exclude the eyeballs on the bones and let it come out in the wash. I'm going to try to put a black bead on these eyes here because I really don't want to wash this model, because everything we're going to be doing is through layering or dry brushing. Yes, I'm going to, and I'll go ahead and paint the nose. Sorry, we got out of focus there. Okay, so we're going to let this dry. It's going to take a minute to dry. And as we do this, we'll work on our werewolf. Now, I actually had planned on showing y'all fur a while back, but the primer I had put on it didn't set well. And this just literally set in my basement with in my stripper, and I just forgot about them until the other day when I was straightening the basement up. Let's see here. Fur is one of those things that it's really simple to do, but you can overcomplicate it. Like, I've done it many different ways. Like, one of my favorite ways to do fur too is also to use an oil wash. So an oil wash is really, that's just what it sounds like. You take an oil-based paint, like Winsor Newton. I use the cheap ones from Michaels. They come in art, I think the Artist Loft, and then you get some mineral spirits and you mix that together, and it dissolves the oil paint in into the mineral spirits. It makes a wash, and this is an old school technique too. And then you paint a lighter color on your model, like what you want your highlights to be, and then you spray it with a gloss varnish and let that sit for like 2 days to cure fully. And then you take that wash that you made and just slather it all over there, every bit of it. And then you let that air dry. And then you take a paper towel and just rub the outside of it, and it takes everything off the highlight part of it, and it leaves all the patina in the recesses. Now, see, this is actually how we did washes back in the day before we actually had acrylic washes. But they called it patina. Crap. Hello, people just got in here. But so the I can't remember what that was called. I'll have to look it up. I had a Middle Eastern name because I used a certain type of brown, and no, it wasn't mummy brown. That's the hardest brown. Okay, seriously, there is a brown called mummy brown. The only way they got this brown was taking mummies and grinding them up. That is mummy brown. And it's one of the most sought after colors if you can get it. They can't reproduce it. I mean, there's no way to reproduce it. So it's just weird. Alright, next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our wonderful werewolf fur, and we're going to take a little bit of it right here. It's kind of runny. Ugh, well, this one didn't mix up very well. Okay. Now, we're going to mix a little white with this while our bear dries. So werewolf fur is a brown, but it's also kind of got a grayish tone to it. So we're just lightening it up a little bit here. And what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and paint the undercarriage, this werewolf, with it. And I'm going to be a little messy with it. It's fine because this is fur, and animal fur is not like painting a space marine. It's not precise. And yes, there is mold lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this lighter color on his chest and on the bottom of his neck and in between his thighs. Right there. I'm going to run it down the inside of his arms a little bit. And we will use a wash with this model, but we're not going to use it with the bear. So right there. And his groin area, this long hair covering certain parts of his body. Because, you know, kids play these games. And down the back of his tail. Or the underside of his tail. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and make it a little darker. Okay. And a little darker than that. Come on. And then we're going to come around this area here, like around his mouth. And we're going to pull down into the area that we were did with a lighter color. Use our big goofy brush, because that's what we do. It's fine. We're going to paint happy little fur. There's no such thing as a bad mistake, according to Bob Ross. Alright, there we go. We'll come in here on this mold line. Yeah, alright guys, my man Bake Sauce just posted some links there if you want to see cool things beforehand. I got a Patreon you can join. I'm not trying to make a living at this. This just keeps me in art supplies. It gives me money to do cool little tricks with and come up with hobby hacks and things like that. So I'm not trying to make $1 million. I do have 3 tiers there. One gets you early access to some information, one gets you access to the Discord, and one of them actually gets you access to me for an hour a month. Okay, let's see here. And then I also got a Facebook page. I didn't post anything on it today because I'm a little bored and crazy at work. Let's see here. Okay. So I have a friend who is actually a park ranger at a local animal reserve up here where I live, and she raises wolves for the park. Every few years they get new pups. She has to wean them and introduce them to the rest of the pack and stuff like that. And the first year they had them, it's so funny. My daughter, was like 2. And so as a 2-year-old, she got to go play with wolf pups. Because my friend, her daughter is one of my wife's best friends, and she would babysit my daughter and take her over there and see the pups where her mom was working at. So It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to take this color a little bit further up the back here until we get to his mane. Here. Hello, Mr. Werewolf. So we might run out of model. Because painting fur is so easy. So, I do a lot of wargaming models and stuff like that. Still a little bit of this brown here. The thing about the wargaming stuff, you have to be like certain, like for certain armies, you have to have certain things. That's why I kind of like taking a break and painting fantasy stuff, because I get to do whatever I want with fantasy stuff. It doesn't matter what it looks like. And remember that your dragon doesn't have to be red. It could be pink and still be a red dragon, because pink is just a shade of red. Pink is a new term. It was invented about 100 years ago. And beforehand, it was just light red. It was red that had faded out. And it wasn't even a girl color. Pink was going to be the boy color. Tell that to an 8-year-old. But it's such a girly color, Dad. Alright, so it's getting kind of messy here. So, here we go. Let's clean our brush out. Okay, now we're taking straight werewolf fur. Let's get it mixed up real quick. Make sure we have it a little bit more mixed than what it was beforehand. There we go, it's a little thicker. Maybe it's too thick. Yeah, get a little bit of this here. So what I'm doing now is just I'm going to go in with that, water down some in between these fingers. Make sure I don't have any spots that I'm missing. Now we don't have a hobby hack this week because I'm working on a really cool hobby hack. Hopefully it'll turn out. And I just want to make sure I get it right. And plus I've been a little busy. Okay, now we're going to take this darker color, mix it with what we got to water it down some. And lighten it up just a little bit. Okay, now we're going to come in, and I am going to be a little bit neater with this, but we're going to do the mane, the back part of his mane here, and we're going to give this a darker color. This. I realized something. I don't have a paper towel, guys. No paper towel. If anybody's got any questions, guys, hit me up. It could be anything. What's my favorite color? Green. What's my next favorite color? Purple. Then pink. Then blue. What's my favorite dye type? I ain't gonna tell you that one. It's a secret. It's the D5. What, Daniel? There isn't such thing as a D5. Yes, there is. Lou Zaki makes it. Now, starting next week, I will have a show as well over on the Norse Foundry page on Friday nights. They wanted me to do a little show for them every Friday night to help give them some content. I'm still waiting on making more time as well. I'm going to do another show on here. It's going to mainly deal with terrain. I may end up painting some terrain next week. Depends if I've been having some printer problems. So it depends on whether or not I get the printer up and running. Also, would everybody like to learn how to make their own basing material from stuff they can find outside? Just let me know in the comments. That's when they go, yes, Daniel, yes, we would love to do that. Now see, now he's got this long hair on the back of his arms, kind of like I do here, right up in this area. So I'm going to paint that with this brown color some. We want to know how to make basing material, Daniel. Man. I got a hobby hack for you guys. Oh yeah. I'll give you one right now. It's not even that hard. Citadel makes these I don't know if they're technical paints. They're basing material. And they got one called Sterling Mud. It literally is, I think I'm going to paint this dark right here with the rest of the long hair. It really is nothing but sand and paint. And a pot of it is like $10. So what I have done, and the best sand that you can get is beach sand. So whenever your family makes you go to the beach, because I know most of you guys don't like going outside, always get you some beach sand. You know, kids got the beach toys. They got the little sieve to sieve it out. The little bucket. You know, we always take bottles of water with us to the beach. So I was literally sieving sand and packing sand in water bottles. And when I got home, I washed it with clean water. So what that meant was I just put it in a pan, soaked it, moved it around a bunch of times, make sure everything got out of it. And then I poured off a lot of the water. And then I let it dry. And once it was dry, I put it in a container, and that's what I use for that's my main basing material is sand. That was a little bit with a little bit of glue. Is amazing. But I'll show you what I did. And you actually have to make a tool for this. So first tool is this guy right here. And so I took a dowel rod and I cut it to shape right here like a scoop. Then I took an old Citadel container and took some gray craft paint, because you don't want to use high-end hobby paint for this, and mixed it with sand. Okay, so it looks like paint in there, but let's give it a stir. See how thick and gloopy that is? So what's what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take this little clear thing here. It's actually a case magnets come in, because I got these really strong magnets. So I'm just going to put a little bit on here and I'm going to spread it out. See how thick it is? So let's pretend this is a base. So I'm going to put that on. Let's smooth it out first. Get it to the edges. And it's not going to look that great dried like that. So I'm going to just tap, tap, tap. And you know, move it around some like that, and it will level back out because it's kind of wet. But if you keep an eye on it and keep doing this over and over again, you can actually shape it a little bit, give it a little bit more texture. So let's wait. I'm gonna sit over here on top of this right here. So, and I'm gonna let this, don't have nothing to wipe that on, so it's fine. But that's all it is sand. Sand and gray paint. And I'll show you some other things I've done with sand real quick. So these are bases from Reaper, and they've got raised edges on them. So there is a place on the bottom of these bases here for, putting slotted miniatures there, but I just fill them in, so I don't need them. So what I did here was I poured sand in there and then just covered that and put a few stones in it right in this area, and poured super glue on it and hit it with accelerator. So I know it doesn't look that great right now, but once it's primed and I go back in there and paint it, after I attach the miniature to it, then it's going to look a lot better. I also made silicone molds of a couple of these, a little bit different, and so now I could just make bases out. I use this stuff called dental stone, and I mix it with water, and I just put it in silicone mold, and I can make bases out of it, and I don't have to worry about buying bases anymore. Like, I do lots of crazy things like that, especially because I mess around with a lot of silicone. I ran out of Primaris heads a while back, so I made a mold of a Primaris head, and I use UV resin, and I can cast Primaris heads all I want to now. So, I mean, it's just little things like that. It saves you $1 or $2, because, like, buying a packet of helmets for Space Marines running about $2-3 a piece. Not for me. So I just don't like spending money when I don't have to. So this guy's drying right here, which is good. So we're gonna give him a minute to dry. And I intentionally made some mistakes on him, and I'll show you why here in a minute after he dries. Okay, now we got Mr. Bear. He's dried. Let's put the lid back on this guy. So this is why I like these types of paints versus Citadel paints, as far as like the bottles. You can leave the lid off for like 30 minutes and it's not going to dry out on you. So we're going to get a little bit more of this fur brown. And this time, we're not going to mix it as much with that black. Come on. Hold on. I had to move it to the bottom. There we go. We're going to mix it with what color we already have on there. So I know it's not a lot at the moment, but it will still darken it up a little. And add a little bit of water to it. There we go, get some of that water there. So we're thinning this out a little bit. Some of my dirty paint water. Okay. So we're coming in with Mr. Bear, Mr. Brown Bear here. We're gonna start doing this. Now this one, the paint's a little bit thicker, so it's not going to have all that white showing like we had beforehand. But what it's also going to do is the paint is still a little bit translucent. So the dark brown that's settled in is still going to kind of show through it. Now, I could see it here. It might be a little bit hard to see it on the camera because of the lighting. But we should be able to see it a little bit better after it dries out some. Too, because it thins. See, this is what paint does, and a lot of people don't think about it. As it dries, it contracts and pulls tight over the area that it's painted on. We really see that in extreme with gesso. That's why gesso is really used to. It's designed to be the primer on your canvas for when you get ready to paint. It stretches and pulls itself flat, but gives you a harder surface than the canvas actually is. And that's why a few miniature painters really like gesso, because they can put it on their miniature. You can't thin gesso, is the only problem. And I've got some around here somewhere. I found it the other day, but I misplaced it again. So I'm not really going to do a lot of, like with the werewolf, I did different colors around it a little bit, and I'm not going to do that with the bear. We're just painting him all over the same color because he's not a panda. Come on, guys, that was funny. I don't care who you are. Alright, so we got some pink in his mouth. Come in here on his head. Make a mess. Got him covered. Let him dry some more. His wonderful eyes. Alright. So, go back to Mr. Werewolf here. Alright. Y'all remember this? It's a homemade dip. The only problem is this lid gets stuck and I'm weak. There we go. Okay, let's move this guy out of the way. Just for a minute. We'll get back to it. What's that word say? Brawn. Makes it strong. Like strong tone. Oh no. I shook it up. We got all these bubbles. You don't want bubbles. See, I keep bumping the camera. Blow them out, son. Feel like my kid be like, Dada, let's play bubbles. That's my 3-year-old, not my 14-year-old. Okay, so you see here, I've left some white spots. I messed up on it intentionally. It's going to be sloppy. Remember, our goal here is to get our stuff to the table. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of this and I'm going to put it in this lid here. Try to get the bubbles out. I don't want bubbles in it. Come on. Come on, bubbles. Tiny bubbles. Actually, oh wait. While we're doing that, let's go back to this real quick. I feel like I'm rushing today, and I shouldn't be rushing. We got like an hour and a half. Okay, we're adding a little bit of texture to it. What we're doing is we're tapping and lifting it up. So, I don't know if you can see how it's changing. This is going to take a while for that to dry. That stuff takes about 45 minutes for it to dry. Let's do this. I know I'm going to regret it. Go down to the bottom. Suck it up so we don't get bubbles that way. Alright. Alright, here we go. So we're going to just apply this all over. It's that homemade wash, guys. This stuff is going to save you a ton of money. And it is a bit brown. But this is my werewolf, and he's going to look the way he wants. Oh no, I got it in the pink area. Ah. So, cool thing about dogs, if you don't know this about a dog, dog's fur actually matches the skin underneath it. So if you have a spotted dog and you shaved all his hair off of him or her, the pattern that you have is actually the same pattern of their skin. There's spots on their skin. If you didn't know that. Just a fun fact, because I have dogs. Not that I've shaved my dogs. Okay, so he's a bit brown. So what we're going to do, come in here and wipe him a little bit with our fingers. See if we can get some off the edges. It's stained pretty good though. Come back in there because I missed a spot. But see what we did though, doing that, we've actually went in and covered up some of the spots that we've missed. So let's let this dry. Let's see how it looks, and we'll play with it a little bit after that. So let's wash that off. Now, Mr. Brown Bear is not getting a wash, but he's still not dry. So, because that last bit of paint we put on him was a bit thick. So, we are going back to Mr. Dragon. Oh, Mr. Dragon. You're so awesome, Mr. Dragon. You're my best friend, Mr. Dragon. Now, I haven't actually worked on him this week. Like, I got some stain right there. If that was Citadel, that's like $20. Not really cracking Citadel, but I love them. I've been using them all my life. It's fine. So I did not work anymore on Mr. Dragon because I figured we would work on Mr. Dragon today a little bit as well. So what we're going to work on today, since his body is mostly dry because he's been sitting for a week, is his wings. So what we're doing, what was that? I heard a noise. Called I got a text message. I think. What in the world? And remember, guys, this will come up as Steven on the Troll Lords page because I don't have access to change that, and they don't change it after they get done with it, so it's fine. So we're going to come in here and we're going to try to be a little bit neat with these spines here because I've already got a little bit on there of other colors. So let's see here. Ah, bumped the camera again. Wonder if Willie's on. Anybody got any questions, guys? Who all's on right now, Bake? Yay. Hey, Duffy. Focus on the miniature, not on my hand. I have an idea for these wings, and y'all might like it, you might not like it. So we're going to try it as soon as all this red dries. Actually, we don't need the red to dry. Because I'm not perfect here. So I'm not a professional, so try all this at home. So is there any model that anybody wants me to paint out there? If I can get it, I'll paint it. See how we got this red right there? But that gave me an idea. I'm gonna have to work fast. It's gonna be a little messy. Sorry guys, this is focusing on my hand. Has anybody been following the RPG scene, the news, and all that wonderful stuff? I've been following the Gygaxes. It looks like they're officially going to go to court on the will, and hopefully that might mean we might get our Castle Greyhawks. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. I can't really mention it on here. Our Troll Lord stuff that Gary Gygax wrote. Eggsberg. But the sought after, because after Gary died, Gail pulled in all the rights for all of Gary's stuff, even though it was making her money. I don't understand the logic in that. But anyway, she pulled in all the rights. I guess she didn't want anybody else to try to make money off of it. So, but hopefully, all that stuff will get re-released once it gets out of court. But we're looking years before any of that stuff gets done. Castle Zygag. Man, I would love those books just because I was a big Gary fan. Okay. So that's on there. So we got the spine to do too. What color did we say we were going to do that spine in? I don't remember. What color should I paint the spine, guys? Quick. First person gets that color, as long as it's not a weird color. First person that mentions the color, if I got that color, I'll paint the spine of the dragon. Come on. Nobody? Alright, so orange. Dang it. Fine. I'll do it. So what I'm going to do here is take some white real quick on these wings. Just kind of cover up where I made these splotches last week. And that's because I was painting the wings orange. And orange is a transparent color. Translucent. And that red would show through. But it actually gave me an idea though. So bear with me and just let me get these splotches taken care of. And fill in some of these areas right here. This doesn't have to be perfect because we are painting over it, so the gray can still be underneath it. Because remember, this stuff's textured. I'm not winning awards here. We're just getting it to the table. Now, who was it that said orange? Alright. Orange it is. Mr. Bear, you dry yet? We'll go back to Mr. Bear here in just a second while this white dries. So I'm just getting the stuff now out in the big main area because you'll see what I'm going to do here. Okay. I don't know, lately I've been craving some GURPS. Anybody ever play GURPS? Nope, that's grapes. Alright, so we're going to let this dry here. I know it's splotchy. Let's clean this line up here. You'll see what I'm doing here in a minute with that. Alright, Mr. Bear. What are we doing, Mr. Bear? So Mr. Bear needs a nose. Because follow that nose, it always knows. Bears can smell really good. We went camping last weekend. Everything had to be locked up because bears smell. Okay, so we're coming here and I'm going to try to get the focus on the bear, not my hand. And I'm going to paint his nose. Edge around his mouth a little bit. Looks horrible. We'll fix it in post. What my producer always says. Okay. Now, I said we're going to give him some black dots for eyes. Still happening. Okay, we got some black dots for eyes. Now, his claws. Now, if you ever looked at bear claws, they're really dark brown. They have a sheen to them. So I have this metallic here called rough iron. If you can look at that color at the tip of that, where I put it on there, it looks brown with a sheen to it. It's amazing. So it would be a really good color. It'd be perfect if the glitter in it or the mica powders were just a little bit finer. But what we're going to do is it's going to get its nails done. Mr. Bear goes to the spa. I think I'm going to try to find some Reaper metal miniatures. They're usually a little bit neater than these. Actually, I got a ton of iron wind we could paint. No. Commission it. Okay, so he's gonna get them their nails done. Sure we didn't miss anything on Mr. Bear here. We missed a little bit on this paw here. So let me go back and straighten that up. Alright, Mr. Bear. See you right here. Now, He's looking good. Alright. Let's give him a few minutes to get his nails dried. Actually, it's just a metallic. It's a metallic. Oh, it's white. I don't want white. I do want white. Skeleton bone from Reaper. See how that mixed up. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and put some of this on Mr. Bear too. We don't need a lot. Oh crap. That's what sucks. It's alright. So, Mr. Werewolf, he goes to the dentist today. Yeah, I had to go to the dentist today. As well, Mr. Werewolf, it's fine. Her comment was, how much coffee do you drink a day? It's like, man, I'm a software developer by trade. It means I run on coffee. Okay, so we got his teeth done. So his claws, though, I'm going to give him some, go with the ivory or the skeleton bone here for his claws. A little messy here. Okay. Dun, dun. Claws down here. I hate painting vases like this. I can't see that. Alright. Let's get Mr. Bear's teeth done. Messed up on Mr. Bear. Alright, there he is. Mr. Bear's got his teeth done. Okay, let's go back to our mud. Okay, so it's starting to dry out some, so we can come in here a little bit more and move it around. Give it some textures. So, see how it's taking texture now? If you have some stones, you can throw a stone on there and push it in. Once it dries, you can put a little bit of dab super glue on there and it ain't going anywhere. Okay, Mr. Bear. Mr. Bear goes to Hollywood. Okie dokie. So y'all know the last few times that I've messed up dry brushing. So we're taking brown and we're going to mix it with a little bit of this Babe Blonde. Babe Blonde from Army Painter. It's a little brighter. Just touch of white. And touch yellow. A little bit more yellow. It's still nice and thick. Okay. We're not using that dry brush. We're using this dry brush. So, oh, it's the Citadel dry brush, small dry brush. Okay. So, we are going to do this all in downward strokes, starting from the top. And as it can tell, oh. Remember, it's always easier to darken a color than it is to lighten one. And with dry brushing, you don't want to push down hard at all. But that first dry brush, you want to put a little bit of pressure on it. You're putting more on it with that first one. You're like, Daniel, I can't tell. I can tell though. That's all that matters. So I had a guy one time wanted to painting his Guild Ball stuff, and he had hunters, and they have a bear, and I painted it as a brown bear. I was really proud of that brown bear. He's like, no, I want a polar bear. So mad. So I had to go back and repaint that entire bear, and but it was his, so I mean, it's whatever he wants. But I made sure to put a lot of brown around the butthole. Because that polar bears ain't pure white. And I made a Coke bottle and hid it in the base. Okay. Now, so that was our first right there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a lot more. We're going to take some of this brown here and move it over here to this yellow spot. We want this next dry brushing is going to be lighter, but it's going to be, well, it's lighter in color, but it's also going to be lighter in amount that we use. So you can see the difference in my hand here about what we're looking at. So you're actually seeing it pick up better on the bear. So don't be afraid to use multiple layers of dry brushing if you want to. You don't have to. Remember, we're just going for a tabletop ready. But outside of its base, I would call Mr. Bear done. It's done to me. Okay, down Mr. Werewolf's a different story. We're going to have to dry brush him a little different. So we're going to take some more of our werewolf fur. Just a drop. We're going to start with that. Now, so we're not lightening that color up because we actually already washed this. So we can go with this same color. So what you want to do is put it like this where you barely see it on your hand. Some people use paper towel. It's a waste of paper towel. So we're going to come in here, start dry brushing this. The same color we originally painted it before we washed it. Remember, we can be a little messy with this. We'll go between the colors. So this makes sense, brings out a little bit more of that gray that we had in there initially. Now, instead of white, I'm going to take a little bit of that skeleton bone. A little bit of a lighter color here. See? Don't be afraid to mess up. I mean, this is literally a $2 piece of plastic. If you do mess up and you don't like it, oh darn, you can go to Dollar Tree and buy a dollar container of awesome, throw it in there for an hour and get it out, hit it with a toothbrush and all the paint comes off. Part of learning to paint is experimenting with your stuff. So we're bringing out some of that gray again there, and we're going to add some white. Now, see how much brighter that is? Now what we're going to do is undercarriage. His thighs here. Now, I'm going to really lift it up some. Super light. See how much lighter we are. Now I'm going to get a lot of that out. I'm just going to go all over. Now he needs a few things left. He needs a nose. Let's give him a... I'm going to take a little bit of this black, except darken it down with this metallic. Or darken the metallic down a little bit. Just because I think it would look kind of cool to have a shine on his nose. Okay. And we're going to take, and we'll get a dark wash here real quick. It's not my wash. We're doing mid-brown. This is not for his fur. This is actually for his nails. At the top of the nails, I'm going to put a little bit of that wash. And around his mouth. Okay. And his eyes. What color should eyes of a werewolf be? Yellow. Got a little bit of this babe blonde here. See, this is when you learn to use the hook. So this is what I missed by conventions being canceled. I miss getting dice. I love going to the Chessex table and getting a scoop of dice. That is the one thing I miss about conventions this year is the scoops of dice from Chessex. I just want to point that out, guys. I'm actually jonesing to go to a convention just for dice. Alright, so how's he look so far? Honest opinion. You mean this hair right here? You asked if it's being highlighted? I mean, we did dry brush it. Can you not tell? Alright. So, next thing we do is I reach down into the Citadel box. And my air compressor is going. Let's mix this up a little bit. And this is a Citadel effects paint, or technical paint as they call it. Blood for the Blood God. Now you can make this stuff, it's really easy. All it is a gloss medium mixed with red pigment. So we're going to take this, put a little bit of this right here. And we're going to come in here and we're going to put some blood hanging down from his chin. All up in his teeth, yo. It's going to be messy and it's not going to look good at all. But you know what? I don't care. He's got blood coming down from his chin. And we're going to put a little bit on his claws that we just did. We're actually going to Coat those in fairly liberally. Blood splatters. Come back over here. Now he's got bloody paws, like he's been killing something. But there you go. He's done. Mr. Bear's done. Here, I'll show y'all a cool trick real quick, if I can get it to work right. So a little bit of this, more of this blood for the blood god real quick. A stiff bristle brush. I'm going to use my water cup for this. See if this will work. I don't know if you caught that. See the red? Blood splatter. So it's really, if you're doing terrain, like especially for Warhammer, around where a miniature's head would be, you could just put a little bit on there, pull it back, let go, make blood splatter. Boom. Just little things, guys. Just little things. Don't have to have all these airbrushes and all this other stuff. Okay, now let's see if I can find my magic wand. It always fails me. Okay, now go back to Mr. Dragon, and we are going to put a little bit of red, not a lot, around the edges of this. Kind of soften it out some, so it's not like red straight up white, because we're trying to get an effect of stretched skin on the dragon, because this is literally the same skin as his body, but it's stretched out. So what we're going to do, if this works, it doesn't. Okay. But, I mean, we gave it the old college try. Because, yeah, that's what I literally did in college all the time, was paint miniatures. Gotta do something, man. Don't have money in college. Gotta do some stuff to have fun. It's gonna take a lot of paint though. Okay. Remember, again, we're experimenting. The last side. A little bit more soften it. That's what we're looking for, is to soften this out some. Now, here's the new color. Yes, I'm actually washing this out this time. Ugh. And I got water on my keyboard. I'm going to flip it over. It sits in my lap. Alright, new color, Mythical Orange. Not used this color yet. It's first time on national TV. So, see how it goes on. Should be translucent. Okay. Most oranges. This is why I went back and painted over the dark red and put that dry brushing of that other red on there, because you can still see the colors through there. That looks pretty good. See some red I gotta touch up though. Paint that orange just over these spines here. Because it's translucent. Red will most see. I gotta come back in here and fix this red. Oh man, I'm like the sloppiest painter in the world on camera. Remember, we got a Kickstarter going on, guys, for Troll Lords right now. I can get, if you can, throw that Kickstarter link in there. Also, there's a 5th edition Humble Bundle package that has some Troll Lord stuff in it, as well as Frog God Games. If you want to check that out, if you play 5th edition. I remember we talked last week a little bit about the changes to the Orcs and Drow and Visanti in 5th edition. But now there's a new push to remove the original Oriental Adventures from Drive-Thru RPG. If you don't already have that PDF, go out and buy it. I have a hardcover of it, so I'm good. Let's see here. We got 40 minutes left. We're doing good on time. Sorry, when you see me do this, guys, I'm popping my neck. I got neck problems. I've had too many car accidents as a high schooler when I was in my teens. And, yeah, I'm always popping my neck. Oh, well, the Humble Bundle might not be going on, guys. I've just been told by my producer, who's going to give me 50 lashes after the show. Really don't have a producer, guys. It's just baking my ear. And you could yap away in my ear as well if you join my Patreon and you have access to my Discord channel, and there you can talk with me while I paint for the low price of $3 a month. Yeah, we're just coloring, guys. It's like a kid with crayons right now. We're just trying to get that color in there. I'm looking at it on my end. This actually doesn't look that bad. I don't know about y'all. I like it. For you guys playing the home game. Now, so, let's do this real quick. I'm going to show you some cool things, and we might not be able to do it completely to the entire model because it will take a hot minute. I don't think we have enough time for that, but just drop that orange. Okay. So before I paint that spine, I'm going to go in and redo that entire spine in white, but not today. But taking this orange a little bit, remember it is translucent. We come back in and see these scales? We come in and put orange on the bottom of each scale. See what I'm doing there? So effectively, these scales are flat. Okay. Now what we're doing is essentially doing the same thing a dry brush would do, but we're doing it one scale at a time. Or we could just do this. But here's the problem with that. Because this model has really flat dimensions as far as like the scales do, we might get a lot more of the area that we don't want to hit. So we could come in here like this. Make sure our dry brush is dry. And we can stroke in some of that orange. There. Now we have time for this. Well, a little bit of time. So, now, but what I'm actually going to do next is a wash. And what color are we going to use? I was going to do a red. Changed my mind. Let's try this. This is a flesh tone. I don't know. We could be on something here, guys. And gal. Plural. I don't know how many y'all out there. Okay. So we're going to try a flesh tone real quick. Now, I like using flesh washes on gold, but I don't know how they're going to look on orange. Orange. They could look wicked. We don't know. This is the Army Painter flesh tone. Right here. And we need to remember, we need to support the hard-working men and women at our local Krispy Kreme. So if y'all get a chance, go visit your local Krispy Kreme and eat donuts. And go buy your neighbor a donut, because donuts bring peace. Donuts can heal any rift. And this was not paid for by Krispy Kreme. It's not actually looking bad at all. I can't believe you guys are so quiet tonight. These big models will use a lot of wash. What this does is it helps blend in colors too. Because you're putting, it's kind of like the concept of glazing. It's putting a layer of color over everything that kind of mats it all down. I'm gonna hit, yeah, filtering, as my producer says. Alright, so I'm gonna put a little bit here. Let's get a little bit more though, because this is the actual flesh area. Let's turn it upside down. I'm actually quite proud of this dragon. Mom has space paint though. Look, I didn't do the bottom of its feet because nobody's ever going to see that part. Alright. What y'all think? How's Cassandra looking? That's her name, Cassandra. That's weird. Alright. It's going to dry for a minute. It is 9:30. Stretch. Good, good. Thank you, Peanut Gallery. Sorry, trying to get tick cough drop.